think the reason why I'm so passionate about encouraging others to really dig deep within yourself before you decide on marriage is because that's personally something that I've experienced.
Right.
We had several times where I would kind of blame him for my own shortcomings, you know, and you know, whereas those are some things that when you're spending time with yourself and you're spending time with the Lord, those things can be revealed to you before you go into marriage. And so you're more so complete in that area before you present yourself to your husband. So I think that's one lesson learned. Marriage will show you who you are. It will show you areas that need a little bit of nurturing. So that's definitely something that I've learned.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Marriage Matters. If you're watching for the very first time, this is a podcast where we talk about all things relationships. And we like to say whether that's marriage, whether that's family, whatever it is, we give you tips and tricks that you can use throughout your life. We like to think anyway. My name is Glenn Coleman, and I'm joined as always by my beautiful wife,
Tanya Coleman. Hey, guys.
And today, as you can see, we have some very, very special people in the building. We got some special people in the building. Mr. Rolin and Miss Shalae Piper. Yeah, let's clap it up, studio audience. There's no studio audience.
We are the audience. Yes.
Yeah, so let's just kind of get it started. Kind of introduce yourselves and let the people know who you are.
I'm Rolin Piper. I don't know what all we're gonna talk about, but I got a family.
Okay, whatever you want to share.
I have a family. Mom and dad, 2 brothers, of course, and then of course my newly wife Shalae.
Yes,
love her to death, and it's deaf. I don't know if I love you till you can't hear. But love you to death. Both of them. Yeah. But yeah, just regular musician guy. Love God, love Jesus, love business and edible arrangements. And I love music. I love playing music and enjoying that as well. And I'm a podcaster, so that's pretty much all like that. I don't know.
Let me just, I'm going to interrupt you. That saying, love you to death.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was thinking the other day, and I was like, I was like, where did that come from? But I thought maybe it was Jesus.
Okay.
Because, he died for us.
Okay.
So when you say, I love you to death, I know some people say, I love you to life. That's but I was like, I love you to death means that's like the ultimate sacrifice. So anyway, I just thought that was, when you said that, it reminded me of that. Anyway, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. My name's Shalae. I am a runner. I love family. I love friends. I, just love to enjoy life and ministry, and just excited to be here with you guys today.
Okay, cool. We're excited that you guys are here. Yes. So first off top, newlyweds, right? So how long has it?
Oh my gosh, November 22nd.
Yes.
And so love the year of 2020.
December.
We in February, so it's about 2 months now. 3 months?
Yeah.
3 months.
3 months.
3 months. 3 whole months.
3 whole months.
It doesn't feel like it. Really.
It
feels so much longer than
that. So y'all fresh in the game.
Fresh in the game. Newlywed.
Yeah. Fresh out the can. That's what they would say.
So how's it going so far? So
not bad. I mean, we just finally getting settled in with everything, just with the storm and all the other stuff that was going related. And it kind of like finally we having a time to finally get into our home. We just new homeowners, so just got our home.
Congratulations.
And so now we're finally just getting settled, trying to enjoy what it feels like on a Saturday to do nothing, on a Sunday to chill back, drink some coffee.
Yes, we love coffee, making our house feel like a home.
Yeah, that's what we're at right now. Just kind of like getting settled is the best way we could possibly say it. But it's been fun. It's been fun.
Okay. So you had something?
Well, I was just, we talked about November 22nd, 2020. you guys pushed through a whole lot to ensure that you were married in 2020.
Yeah, it was a rough year.
It
was a rough year.
From COVID to two hurricanes and all of that, y'all. I mean, what was that like you're trying to start your life as a married couple and then all of this chaos breaks out? What was that like?
You never can predict, you never can expect what to happen, but you can decide how you're going to react to those situations and to those moments. So it was just a matter of faith the entire time. Really just one and one together. Like, okay, Lord, like we know that you have had these plans for us since day one. So we stuck with that and really stuck together.
Yeah.
That was key.
That's really key.
Of course, we had our moments. We ain't gonna be like, you wasn't just like, faith, God is good, but it works. We do that. Now that does work, but you had your moments where it's like, have to, you're like, okay, all right now, God, we're gonna do this year. You still want it this year, but with everything that was going on, we just, like I said, we just kept remaining the faith, keeping the faith to wanting to do it and understand that's what God had for us. So we knew we was getting married regardless, but how it was gonna happen, the whole look of it, where we was gonna be at, the music, all these different things, we didn't know how all that stuff was really gonna come together, but it was crazy. After one thing, it's just something like the next thing came. Then after that, the thing after that just came. And it was like one step at a time. And eventually we ended up getting married. And then it was, beautiful wedding during COVID. Nobody got COVID either. So that was that was the main thing. Because if you do a wedding during the COVID season, everybody like, okay, all right, now you're exposing now. All right. But nobody actually getting it was really our prayer. It was like, hey, we didn't want it for that. We didn't invite people to come just so y'all can get that. We just wanted to be like, hey, if you can make it, you can make it. You can't, you can. But we just knew we had to get married. We had to do what we had to do for us.
And just to backtrack in that, it was probably the most peaceful situation ever. Just letting everything go. Just letting it go and receiving it however it turned out. And it was amazing.
It was amazing. It was beautiful.
Yeah, they married us, by the way, everybody.
Hey, it was our pleasure.
It was absolutely our pleasure.
For sure.
Yes.
It was amazing.
It was beautiful. It was.
Yeah. So, talking about that, and I wanted to maybe I'm getting ahead, but that's okay. You said something. You said everything wasn't good all the time.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
So you've only been married, like you said, 3 months. So you probably experienced more struggle before you got married.
Yeah.
Than most people who would maybe even, 5 years into the marriage, all right? And that's one of the things that, we try our best. We tell the couples that we work with, we tell them all the time, look, we can give you all of the pie in the sky stuff, but what we really want to try to let you know and prepare you for or make you aware of or give you the tools for is how do you work through the things? How do you work through the stuff that doesn't go right? How do you work through the stuff that, you have all of your plans and then you have in your mind the way it's going to go and it doesn't go that way and you don't get your way or, so let's kind of talk about that. You talked about it a little bit, but let's kind of dive deeper into that.
Okay.
Because, believe it or not, we tell our couples this, I know you don't believe this, but eventually something's gonna happen.
Facts.
And your marriage can hinge on that one thing. So, and I think, because people are not prepared, you think, oh no, it'll never happen to us. I just can't think in my mind of anything that could go wrong. Well, I hate to quote Murphy's Law, but what can go wrong will, right? So kind of talk about that a little bit.
Well, you want to, I'm about to say, you look like you had some. Go ahead.
Yeah, there were times where, let's talk about, our venue, per se. Just with the COVID first, we had venue number one. And here comes COVID. We had to downsize. And, of course, we have so many people that we love and we wanted to be there. So we were, let's just go ahead and look for another place. Then after that, the hurricanes came. Yeah, we had another location. Yeah. It was just a series of what we expected. We get excited for it, and then it's just shut off.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it was just having to hold each other accountable. I needed him at some points to kind of talk to me and help me understand that, sometimes my faith was trickling.
Yeah.
And
That happens.
It happens. And we had conversations, and he's just like reassuring me, like, no matter what, we're just going to continue to ride this out together. And you just really have to come together. Like, you really have to be there for each other. And
a lot of it is focus, and a lot of people lose the focus. And if you have a goal and it's something that God gave you, right? And it's my biggest thing is if God told you something, or if he told you that you're supposed to do X, Y, and Z or ABC, like, you're just supposed to do those things. And then anything that happened outside of that comes up as a distraction or makes it look like it's not going to happen, or, all these things. But it was like, no, God didn't tell me that we weren't going to get married. If God didn't tell me that we were going to have a great wedding this year, he wouldn't have told me. For me personally, he was telling me to get married in 2020 and get a house in 2020. And so those were the only 2 words that I had the whole year since January 1 of 2020. So I didn't know COVID was going to hit. We didn't know we was going to lose a home. You know what I'm saying? We didn't know we was going to lose a home. So we didn't know none of these things. But the word was get married. So we may not knew how or what was going to happen, or it's just to stay sure and focus. Like I said, you have your moments where you have to get in worship and listen to, the stuff that's like, I will remain confident in this, that I will see the goodness of it. So you have to keep staying confident and stay in the remaining of that. But, adversity just comes to diminish your confidence. And I think for us is keeping our confidence high to say, hey, we feel it. We see the stuff that's going on. We know all this stuff is happening. It was literally, to me personally, it was like, or for both of it, it was just like a trick, and it was like, how can you withstand through this test? Can you really withstand? Or I didn't do my best. I always think about when Jesus got tempted and the moment where he had with the devil, and Jesus just kept replying back with what the word my father told me. I can, the father, what I'm saying? Now I can't do that. And so that's how I feel like in our test, it could have been a moment for us where he was like, okay, have you tried my servant Job? Or have you tried my servant Rolin Shalae? Or when Job even got tested. So, have you tried them? And so all that stuff to me was just like, okay, this is all fool's gold. This is all stuff that's coming in us to try to make us be like, okay, maybe we don't need to get married. Because after 2 venues getting canceled, who wants to do a third time? You're like, all right. I was like, I'm going to call y'all. We're going to go to the courthouse. We're going to tell them thank you. Going about our business, But it was just like, my dad and family, of course, family as well, being in our corner, and friends, talking to them. And them like, yo, no, settle. You don't have to settle. Y'all don't have to settle. Even though it's been rough, you don't settle. And it's like, what do you mean don't settle? It's COVID. It's all kinds of stuff. What you mean we gotta settle, But it was like, you don't have to settle to a certain extent, But I think the biggest thing for me was just like staying focused in what God told us, and don't let nothing come against what he told you to do, and just stay locked in for sure.
Yeah.
What does that look? You said, Shalae, you said Rolin was there for you. I keep wanting to say Rollo. Can I call you Rollo?
You call me Rollo. I mean, everybody, my other name is Rollo. So if you say Rollo, it's okay. Yeah. I'm Rollo. Nice to meet you.
But you said that, he would be there. You had to be there for each other. Yeah. What does that look? Can you give me like just a tangible example of what that looks like? Because again, we want to give the people,
exactly.
There's one thing to say, be there for each other. Well, what does that mean? What did that sound like? What did Rolin say or do that let you know, okay, I'm here for you? Or even, it's okay. That's another thing. I try to tell Tanya, hey, it's okay. You have a right to feel. You have a right to be frustrated. Yeah. And just because you're frustrated doesn't mean that you're not in faith. It's just you're frustrated at the situation. So give us some, and it don't have to be like a situation, but kind of give us an overview of what that looked like.
For sure.
Pretty much just when, like I said, you have your heart set on this one situation happening, and then it doesn't. I have confidence in my Father that he is going to provide no matter what. But sometimes like your flesh will just come in and be like, hey, but guess what? It's not going to work out how you think. And, I need him to come in and reassure me on that level right underneath God that, his word is true. Like what he says is what it is. You know what I mean? No matter what distractions, no matter what challenges, no matter what adversity comes to play, there were times where, him being there for me was, conversations. I'm calling you every 5-10 minutes, needing you to remind me these things that, when the adversity comes in and when the distractions come in, I don't believe in what God is saying completely, just to be honest.
And that's it. That's the truth. I mean, like for me, it was just her. I know that, so we gotta kind of have separate things because the marriage was one thing, the wedding was one thing, and then while she was doing a lot of the wedding stuff, I wouldn't say she was doing a lot of heavy lifting on it, but she was doing a lot of work with the wedding because I know it's a bride's thing. I mean, wedding day, guys, we show up, we say I do, you know, but you know the whole day, and I knew how it was weighing on her and how that was a huge day for her, like just to have the wedding cake and everything. You know how it goes with weddings. There's a lot of planning. So, but for me, I'm just like, hey, if we don't talk to Joe Schmo over there, we put this together, we're going to be all right. Let's just get married. But for me, I was more so trying to, so we got a house too. So I was actually working on the house a lot while she was working on the wedding. And I was also doing pieces with the wedding too. But the same type of stuff, her being there for me, like, you know, when you don't have a home, I said this on the podcast before, like, you don't know what is the next step after you don't have a home. You don't really know, you know? So it's just like, all right, time to go for it. Let's get a crib. You know, like, all right, you just say stuff. People swear that you gotta know everything all the time. Like, yeah, man, I went to Harvard and to learn how to get a home and this. I'm like, no, I just was like, hey, I'm going to get a home. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna figure it out as we go. And that's the best thing you learn as you really go. But for her, she would always be like, hey, you're gonna be good. We're gonna get it. You just, you know, even though we don't see it right now, you're okay. You know, and that's all I kind of needed as well. The reassurance and the confidence that we have in each other is the biggest thing. And I think for us, we always, I think from day one, since we talked, I always talked to her about the bubble. And it's really just me and her in that bubble. So it's just like, we kind of got to stay on the same page. We got to, if you, like you were saying earlier, if you're hurting, like we got to talk about that. If you're not sure, or you're just not satisfied, hey, look, we both not satisfied. We both, you're not the only one. We both doing it together. So I think when we can realize that when we do it together, we're stronger. You know, I think that was the best thing. But I think for both of us, like she's just saying, for me too, is also the reassurance. Like, hey, you're going to get through. We're going to be all right. And, you know, just be in there. And then she'll make brownies some days. You know, I like brownies. I mean, that was the best thing. I mean, brownies and ice cream.
Makes everything better.
I'm telling you, everything. Thank you. And I wasn't a big brownie fan. And she was just like, all right, I think it's time for brownies. I think it's time for brownies too.
Hey,
I agree.
Call me next time.
Next time I'm feeling the whole
taking you down. The brownies will do it. I'm telling you, brownies and some bluebell ice cream.
Brother, you speaking my language.
Yes, sir.
That's one of my love languages. Bluebell ice cream.
But it also talks about like taking it back too. You don't have to like, so just small stuff like that.
Sure.
Family.
Sure.
You know, let's eat your favorite meal today. Let's have a brownie or let's eat some ice cream. You know, something just let's get outside. Let's go walk at the park. Yeah, we walk at the park a lot. Just go and walk around. Just small stuff. I think keeping it simple to the small things that makes it, you know, it makes it real richer. Cool. Yes, indeed.
I think that it's phenomenal that through the process of the wedding being delayed or changed because of COVID, then you have these two major hurricanes that hit and you lose your home, period, point blank the end. And God is like, okay, so what do? You do what I said to do. You go get a house.
Go back to the word.
You know, you go back to the word, you get a house. But in the process, when you were talking, I thought about the scripture that says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. And so, meaning that, you know, when you've been believing for something, you've been in faith for something, and it doesn't happen, then there's a disappointment that sets in. But the beautiful thing is that you have one another to, okay, babe, yes, I know, you know, feel what you feel. I understand it. I get it. You have a right to feel that way, but this is what God said. You know, and you get to bring one another back. And so I'm sure, you know, you guys are volleying, as they say, that opportunity to be that, you know, for one another. And I think that that's beautiful. And then more couples would learn to do that for one another, to be that support system that, okay, she may have come home, you may have come home and she's not in the greatest mood, you know, because she's feeling whatever she's feeling, but it's a great opportunity to get in and be a support system instead of, well, you're in a bad mood, so I don't want to be in a bad mood, and so we're just going to be in a bad mood together. That's no fun. Make the brownies. Make the brownies.
That's a t-shirt. Make the brownies.
Right?
But sometimes it may be, you like you said, it may be just, you know, maybe she need her time. Maybe she do need to go take a bath, do her thing. You know what I'm saying? Do have a moment where she just put on, and then she comes back in the best mood. That's now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Comes back and it's just like a whole other person. It's like, oh, who are you? I just had some time. And sometimes it's just time.
Bubbles do it too.
Bubbles, a little journal.
The journal. All of those things work. You know what I'm saying? So
So just remembering, you know, and just this is our on podcast follow-up session to the premarital. No.
Okay.
But no, I was just saying, if you can continue to do that, if that one simple, I always say this with couples, remember, your spouse, you're not the problem, your spouse is not the problem. The problem is the problem. Right. You need to come together and fight the problem, not each other.
Exactly.
And that's what most people do is they make the problem, or they make each other the problem. And instead of realizing that I'm not the problem, it's not me, it's the wedding venue.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Right.
So how can we come together and fight that? So that's what, we need to, keep in mind. So if you guys can continue to do that, then, like I said, I never say that it's going to be all peaches and cream, but what I'm saying is you always come out better on the other end, when you go through those things.
Yeah,
so kudos to you guys. So
thank you.
So you had something else? Oh, okay. So I want to kind of switch gears. Thank you. Yeah. Switch gears. And so I want to talk about, you guys are 3 years in. I mean, 3 years. 3 months in.
3 months
into marriage. So you just left the single. What you said?
No, I just said it's fun.
Oh, the single life.
Right.
So I want to kind of talk about that, because I know that there's a lot of people out there who, and I hate to make these statements, but most of the time it's young women who is like, I'm waiting for my Boaz, or whatever you want to say it. So kind of I'll talk about however you want, but I want to call it maybe the dating process. What advice would you give to a young man, a young woman, or even an old man, old woman? Not old. I'm sorry.
Mature
man, a mature woman
vocabulary
who maybe is single right now and they're wanting to be, married.
They're in the waiting
season. Yeah. Okay. So kind of talk about that and what advice would you give to those listeners or viewers?
I think I would say relationship. Like it doesn't mean that you have to go in head first. Yeah. Like the dating part of our relationship, we were friends first.
That's facts.
Like
it's facts.
Yeah, like we got to know each other. We weren't even really going on dates. We were just hanging out.
I don't want to talk about the first date.
Why did I say that?
I don't think we want to talk about the first date.
We might need to hear about this first.
Tell this story.
Well, did you want to finish what you're saying, or should I tell us about the good story?
Okay, so our first date, it wasn't a date.
Well, I don't want to talk about your side of the story because you're going to say it wasn't a date. I thought it was a date.
We were friends with a mutual friend, and we were all three going to the movies.
No, that's what you thought. Now, listen.
That's what you thought.
That was a date. You know? So, I was at college. I was at UL. So, I come back on the weekends to visit one person. On the weekends. But, we had a movie. We were going to see this movie. I don't even know what the movie was. But, she texted me, hey, I'm just bringing my friend with me. Is that cool? And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Back in my mind, it's not really cool. I don't want her. This is supposed to be our thing. You know what I'm saying? This is our date.
So it was her friend she talked about?
Yeah, her friend.
I thought she was her. Okay.
The friend
but it was the friend that let you know. I don't know if y'all gonna experience this. That this is not a date. Like you got that extra friend. Let them know. Hey, brother, we're gonna stay in this lane, okay?
We ain't quite ready yet. The friend was the boundary keeper.
But watch what I do, Pastor Glenn. Now, this is the best part of the story. Now, watch what so I bought her and a friend a movie ticket. And I bought them both popcorn. And things. So sweet. I twisted it back on them. I twisted it back. I said, all right, how can I do this? I bought them both popcorn. bought them both a ticket. She's like, oh my God. She's like, and they went to go pay. I was like, I got it, lady. So I just got out of church because I had a suit jacket on and she didn't know what was going on. She's like, why is he in a suit? Like, I got regular clothes on. But I grew up in church. It's church only. And I'm over here like, I got your tickets, ladies.
And your friend probably was like, girl, you need to keep it.
Send on the hire and go. But back to the singleness thing.
But just enjoy getting to know someone as a friend. Getting to know who they are. Just, are they kind? Do they, just have the same values that you are looking for? Do you really even know what you're looking for as in values?
That's great.
Things like that. Just taking time to really get to know what it is that you are actually looking for and just get to know that person as a friend.
I would say even just enjoy the singleness. You know, I think that we lose sight of just having a period where they can enjoy that, where you can just focus on your craft, focus on the passion that God gave you, focus on all of those things that you can just dive into and spend a lot of this time. I think that when we dive into our passion and our purpose first, the relationships come after that. Like all of a sudden, like if you're just doing what you're supposed to do, all of a sudden that person just shows up, or that, like, you know what I mean? For me, I was just going to college, you know, just doing that. And then we first met, I don't know if you want to get into that, but we first met when we was at, I worked at LaBerge. I was just a pool attendant and she worked at LaBerge. And so it was just like, I was like, oh my gosh, she's gorgeous. I want to talk to her, you know, and stuff like that. But
I was like, oh my gosh, he's so cool.
Yeah, he's so cool. Yeah, and we never thought that moment was never thought. I was so nervous to even get her phone number.
Oh wow!
I was just like, I think she ended up randomly seen her somewhere else in Lafayette, and I was like,
like months later.
Yeah, months later, and I was just like, I gotta get her number. I gotta do it. Tonight is my night. This is my night, and I got gird up my strength, and I was nervous. Hey, Shalae, you remember me? I had a hat on too. Like, remember me? I don't know if you can see under the hat. Yeah, I don't know if you can see under the hat. Pool boy. Yeah, I don't know, the pool boy. Ain't nothing wrong with the pool boy in your season. If you're in the pool boy, I feel the word coming. Hey, the pool boy season of your life.
Come on.
Straight that, because you're on your way.
Yes. Look at what being the pool boy brunch.
Come on, God is good. All the time. But no, but I think like enjoying that moment, not really, because a lot of people, we be like trying to like shape ourselves for that other person and try to do things to make us look good for that other person that we don't even know who they may exist or not.
Yeah.
So I think that if we stay into what we call to do and doing what I think that person ends up just randomly showing up in that path of you doing what you're doing. And now you're like, okay, God, I mean, and I tell all the time, I think before I even talked to her, I was already praying, going back to UL, and just like one day, I was like, God, I think it's about time for me to get a girl. I think it's time, you know, but I didn't know, forgot all about that prayer, you know? Then all of a sudden she shows up, I think like 2 weeks or 3 weeks later after that prayer, and I'm just like, wait, what in the world? But I think like having a moment, having a conversation with God, ask him, say, hey, I'm actively looking. I want somebody. I mean, then at the same token, I don't even know. I think for us, we were, like she said, we were friends. And one thing that she told me one time when I always asked her, like, why do you feel like you talk to me? Like, why am I, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of other people out here. You know, every relationship gets to a certain point where you ask that question. But I think like when you think about who you're comfortable, like if you can be your comfortable self and you don't be nobody extra, you just, if you can be around somebody and you're 100% you, like, AKA, you didn't have to do so much to put on a front. You know what I'm saying? You could just be your natural self around somebody. I think eventually that person looks at you and like, man, I got somebody I can be my natural self around, you know? And I think that's what it is. I would just tell people, enjoy where you at, go after what God tell you to do, and also just, like I say, just be yourself. Stay comfortable, stay yourself, go after, like I said, go get that degree. Like, don't go get whatever God telling you to do. Don't be trying to, I'm waiting up for that man. You know what I'm saying? He gonna come up here, you know, like, and not everybody gonna be, you know, an NBA player or NFL player or, you know, because I know a lot of ladies, that's the thing. We talk about that all the time. Like, people waiting for that guy with that bag. They got this bag. He gonna take me out of wherever I'm at. You know, Cinderella story, real Cinderella. And I'm like, yo, hey, man, it might work out like that. If it do, God bless you. But for the most part, a lot of people want to have to know these people and be comfortable around them and stuff like that. So I just say that.
And ladies, you know, young ladies have to realize that you too need to bring something to the table. Exactly. Don't just be expecting him, you know, to, like you said, take you out of your discomfort. You know, you need to also bring something to the table. But I think in what you guys just said, you have just saved somebody 5 years of heartache, you know, to be friends first, you know, really get to know this person, to be comfortable, let this person be someone that you can truly be your authentic self with, you know, focus on your craft, focus on your career, your education, build something for yourself, right? And then in the process, I mean, that's what we were building relationships with God, and, you know, we met each other, you know, you will find your person. God will highlight that person to you. Ooh, she's gorgeous. You know, oh, he's so cool. Well, I mean, you were just highlighted to one another at LaBerge, and then when it was time, it was like, okay, I need to go ahead and you know.
That's exactly, I think, like exactly what you're saying. I think that you can be comfortable around somebody, you can stay with them. You know, just far as like like what you were saying, it made me think about, you was like, knowing him as a friend. Like we've been together before we got married 5 years. We was in a like this relationship. But like she said, it felt like a friendship this whole time. So it's like, you know, I know some guys from the streets that always say, what's understood don't need to be explained. So we didn't need to have you know, these days everybody putting it on the, I mean, it's cute. If you do that, I'm not, God bless you. I'm about to say, I'm not coming to nobody. Because a lot of people like putting will you be my boyfriend on the plate? Or girlfriend on the plate, sending it to her. Like, we didn't have a moment like that, you know. She probably like, she go back and think about it, you should have did that. But at the same token, it was just like, eventually people just like, are y'all together? Y'all together? And we just like, I guess, we got. And then we had to get back home that day. Like, we in a relationship? We're like, I guess so. We've been together talking about 4, 5, 3 years now, you know.
But, you know, we didn't completely consume ourselves on expectations for each other. Like in the meantime, we were still nurturing what's in here, like personally.
Yeah,
you know,
that's so a lot. And each end.
Say that again. You said we didn't. The expectations piece. Say that again.
We didn't become so consumed in just what I expect this person that I desire to have in my life be like. You know, you don't lose focus on who you are. We're constantly growing, constantly changing. Life's constantly, shifting around us, and a lot of times, you know, we can sway with that. But you're growing and constantly just letting yourself continue to be yourself and learn yourself and be molded and, you know.
That's good.
And them expectations.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like, and we were, and I think even in the early on when we first started talking, I think that was the biggest thing that we both was going into. We had any problems we probably had early on in our relationship was expectations. Like somebody prior to me did something this way. Or, you know, because and people may be most people going to have another relationship. I know y'all into this, so y'all probably know most. I don't even know, but I'm just thinking probably other people that had somebody to talk to before and it didn't work out and stuff. But those things end up coming back into the next person or whatever the case is like that. And then when it comes into the next one, you thinking about, well, you ain't doing something or I ain't doing something. You're not doing what the girl I used to talk to, or you're not doing nothing to the guy he used to do this for me, or she used to do this for me all the time, and you ain't doing it, or why is it such a big deal? Or and you go through these rants and you think about it like, okay, what you got? I'm not that person. You see what I'm saying? I'm sorry, I can't. I try my best. I can't shape myself to, you know. I mean, can't do it. So it's kind of one of those things.
And then because I know a lot of ladies talk about this that list of, you know, the top 1 to 20, what you want your husband to be. You know, I want him to be an athlete. I want him to be super smart. I want him to be super funny. I want him to be, you know, super ambitious. And, you know, what happens if you don't see that in that person right away while you're growing? So, really,
you said that out. This comedian I was listening to, she was talking about that, about her list. And she was like, you know, when I was, you know, in my early 20s, I had like the list with, you know, 150 things on it. It's like, God, this is the man. And she's like, as I'm older, she's like, you know, late 20s, that list got down to like 50.
I don't need that.
She said, I'm 35 now. She's like, Lord, let him be alive. You know what I'm saying? Can he just be alive?
Let him breathe.
You know, breathe. But everything that you guys said is two things that really stuck out to me. Is number one, you know, and we kind of shared this with you guys, and we, you know, before the wedding about 1 times 1 equals 1. A marriage is one whole person coming together with one whole person to equal one whole marriage. And when you get in the situation of 1 times 1/2, a half a person, then you get a half a marriage. And when both people are half, then you get a fourth of a marriage. So, and we know that every time for the rest of our life, we're going to be growing and evolving, but you have to come, like Tanya was saying, I think Shalae, you said it, coming to the table with something, coming to the table whole and not expecting that person to meet some need something that you've been lacking. I always say, you know, you're ready to be married when you don't need to.
You don't have to be.
You know, and so that's one thing is coming, making sure that you are whole, as much as as close to being whole as you can be. And the other thing is about the getting to know you piece. That's so important. And I think that we don't do that enough. And people, it's like when people get into marriage and they're like, you know, I want to have 4 kids. They're like, well, I don't want any kids. Well, It's like
I was in that discuss.
You didn't talk about that before, you know. And so I'm all for full disclosure, you know, in marriage. You know, I'm talking everything from, you know, how many sexual partners you've had, your credit score,
getting deep.
if you are in debt, getting deep. You know, because you know what I'm saying. If you marry somebody and then they're you know $80,000 in student loan debt, it's coming. I'm not saying I wouldn't marry you, but what I'm saying is
I need to know that.
I need to know about that going in, because now we're trying to go and buy a house and we can't buy a house because you got $80,000 in not you, but I'm just saying in general, $80,000 in student loan debt, and you got a 300 credit score. You know, I'm like, whoa, you know. So now, so it's just those two things really kind of stuck out to me in your stories. You know, working on me, making sure I'm the best husband that Shalae deserves, right? And that I want to know. I know this woman. That's why I love. And what I found is the more you get to know someone, that's what pulls you in, and develops that relationship together. So,
and when y'all say years, like when we sit here and be like, we've been together for this many years, I don't know if it's the same for y'all, but it don't feel like it. It just seems like that's what I said. And when we back and saying it back to ourselves, like we was talking about today, like 6 years. We like 6 years, right? Like, how did we get to that part? Like, we weren't even thinking about that part. So when people be like, both, you know, we did it, and everybody think that, I know from the outside looking in, when people start naming how many years they've been married, people are like, how in the world have you been married for that many years? You know, and a lot of people look like that, but if you in it and you in it really good, it's like you don't really, you know, you don't notice it. And then you've seen the worst. I think the biggest thing is if you've seen the worst from that other person, I don't think you can, you know, only thing from that point level is to go up. So I think that was the biggest thing. If once we've seen each other at our worst, we've been at our lowest moments with each other. We've seen that already. So it don't matter what come after that. We're like, hey, I kind of been. You know. I heard someone say that you need to be with somebody in every season. And not just summers, but I'm talking like ups, downs. You need to see them when they're angry. You need to see them when they've been disappointed.
See what they're like.
You need to see what they're like, you know, because that may, you know, it may be like the Hulk. You might not like me when I'm angry.
Somebody, you know? the same person said you need to see this person on payday and when they broke. You know, are they different people?
Exactly.
You know?
Good stuff.
I was just thinking a moment ago, you know, often we live in a day and an age, and, you know, not, you know, judging or anything like that, but oftentimes couples, you know, the choices are different that they make prior to getting married. You know, you guys took your time. You were friends, you dated and all of that. Then you were engaged, and then you had a wedding, and after your wedding, you lived together. You know, same thing for us. What do you, I guess, if you were to speak to a couple, what suggestion would you give to that couple as far as, you know, we're young adults, we're millennials, and, you know, he has a good job, I have a good job, we want to buy a house together, but we're not ready to get married yet, you know, or we want to move in together and just try it out and see before we get married. What would you say to that couple? What would be your advice? Not, like I said, not judging, not saying they're wrong or what have you, but what would your advice be as a young couple who did it differently?
You want to go first?
You can go.
I'm gonna give you this one. My advice is always, I think it's always been the same. I'm like, always pray about everything. Any major decision in your life, you want to pray about that. You want to hear what God actually is saying. And then 2, of course, like, you know, y'all pray about it together, like y'all talk about. We may have not did it. It was just a different story from our point of view. But I know if we're talking to another demographic of people that's with that, I mean, I just think that like it's a thing, like what's holding up people from. I mean, I understand that it's a quicker process because you know it's easier because you know we both together, we both make a lot of money. Why can't we just take our money, come together, get a crib? It'd be cheaper for both of us. So the financial side is a lot of people's thing on why they really shoot for it because hey, we did it done and note is this much. It's the way society moving with notes and stuff like that. So to me personally, it's kind of one of the things where it's like, okay, you know, it's like, I don't know. Like I said, from our point of view, it's different. I mean, when people doing it, I just say, hey, you know, always be sure what you're doing. Go into it. I mean, and then if it's a thing where y'all together and y'all really trying to make the next leap and be together, I think that you guys should always make that conversation happen on, hey, what we doing? You know, and I think that in any relationship, the conversation, I think we had it at Starbucks, and I was not ready. I was like, I got blindsided.
They usually are not.
Yeah, no, I wasn't ready. You know, it's the where we going conversation. Where is this thing going? I think those conversations will always pop up, and I think that before any major decision come up, that should be the top thing. So what are we doing?
Yeah, that's good.
Where are we
trying to go?
Yeah, where are we doing? Are we just doing it just so we can save ourselves on a note? We ain't got to pay too much money off each other, or this, that, and the third. But what are we doing? Because I think I think it was Pastor Lenny a while back, like, you know, God brings assignments together. You know, so if we're assigned together, what is our assignment? Where's the vision? Now, scripture, if people lack vision, the people will perish, something like that. Those things are the things that I would look at. I mean, like we said, there's no judgment, nothing like that. I just think for me and us, you know, I grew up in church all my life. So, you know, from zero to where I'm at now, you know, and then her story is totally different. You know what I mean? Growing up in church point, growing up Catholic, growing up in church point, doing the ways and the customs of that. And I'm growing up in, you know, Church of God in Christ. Shout out to my Kojic family. Love y'all. I really do. It's nothing like, you know what I'm saying? It's really still family. You know what I mean? But yeah, so just growing up in different homes and understanding, okay, where, and then it also leads to boundaries, though. I think the boundaries is key in that too. What would you say?
I think boundaries. So when you are married versus just dating, when you are at the altar and you are, you know, speaking your vows face to face with your spouse, honestly, those vows are not to them. Those vows are to the Lord. So I'm vowing that when I am upset with you, I'm not going to treat you any different. This is something that you guys taught us. I'm not going to treat you, you know, like you're undeserving, because to the Lord, I told him that, you know, I'm going to love you selflessly, you know, selflessly, selflessly, regardless. And when you, let's say, okay, you want to buy a home, you want to move in with someone that you're dating before marriage, it's easy to get upset with that person because being single, it's like, imagine a pool and the top of it's frozen. And when you're dating, I feel like you're scratching the ice. You're just scratching the surface, as they would say. But when you're married, that layer of ice becomes so much thinner because you've been scratching for a while and you dive deeper. And so at that point, just kind of backtracking a little bit, when you're single and you're deciding to do things with someone and you don't really know them all the way, you have the option to just go if you want to. You know, like, there's no reason for me to stick around. You're making me unhappy. Goodbye. Versus when you're married, it's you guys, you know, against little situations. Like, it's you guys coming
Nothing
together.
Nothing gonna hold you accountable.
So
that's what I'm hearing.
Good.
Accountability is what I'm hearing. Is basically what she's saying. Because if you think about it, it's like she said, like, if you're single and y'all run into an argument after y'all get together, what's stopping you from really being like, I'm out the door. Like, I don't live with you no more. And then now it becomes this is my house. I pay the most. And then you got to go to this thing. And now, who leaving? Everybody, now, who gonna leave? You know, you know, and I know the fella, ain't me. And the lady's like, boy, ain't me. You know, but you don't know, but when you married, it ain't like we ever got to that point. But we never like, okay, we got to bust out because I'm so upset. But it's just saying, like, there's something there that's a deeper connection. That's not just like surface level. That's not just like what people see. It's something deeper that keeps us together. That says, hey, look, it's us. You know what I'm saying? And
you don't just flee. You just want to know, how do we get to the depth of the situation to where we understand each other more? How much we can grow from, you know, things.
You learn from them. You learn from that other person.
Wow. That is something that many couples who've been married a whole lot longer than 3 months, you know, still have yet to grasp. You know, that because you're quote unquote making me unhappy, you know, I'm out, you know, I'm not doing this anymore. I quit, you know, here's my resignation letter. You know, it's like people still who are years into marriages or relationships and some people still have that mindset. Now, there are some situations where if we were to have a one-on-one conversation, I'm never going to tell someone to leave their marriage, but I may tell them to leave their home for their safety, right? But not everyone is in that situation.
Different situation.
You know, it is a situation where you just get on my nerves, or, you know, we keep having the same argument and we're still not getting it resolved. Maybe we just don't need to be together. Yeah. But we have to remember the investment of marriage, the covenant that we made, not to our partner, but also to God. You know, and at the end of the day, you know, have you taken the situation to God? You know, have you sat down and talked to God about the situation with your spouse and without your spouse? Because, you know, typically, you want to blame him, you know, for the argument and for his part in it. But ultimately, we have to look at ourselves. What's my role? You know, how did I, you know, participate in this thing? And it's kind of hard to look at yourself. So being able to, when you describe the pool, I was like, oh, that's so good. That's so good. Go deeper. Go. What was that was from the Cosby Show when the teacher said, dig deeper.
Yeah. She's right. Yeah, she's right. That's awesome. So we're going to kind of wrap things up here. So the last thing I want to ask you guys about, let's talk about lessons learned. Okay. So let's talk about some things, maybe one or two things that you've learned as a result of this process. And maybe even talk about something that maybe you would do differently throughout this process of, you know, going from dating, engaged to married. So lessons learned, what would you do differently?
That's a hard one.
It's deeper.
Lesson learned.
All right. You going first? You got it.
You got it.
Oh, man.
Let me make it a little bit easier.
Let me do this.
Oh, okay. Oh, look at them. They won. They're in sync. They're in sync.
You are in sync.
Okay.
Well, let me just do this. I'm gonna change the question a little bit.
I love it. Really, I love it. Look, it's like it's not over.
What did you learn about yourself?
That's good.
Here we go.
In this whole process, and what would you do differently as it concerns the way you responded or you acted or what you did in the situation?
So I think the reason why I'm so passionate about encouraging others to really dig deep within yourself before you decide on marriage is because that's personally something that I've experienced. Right. We had several times where I would kind of blame him for my own shortcomings, you know, and you know, whereas those are some things that when you're spending time with yourself and you're spending time with the Lord, those things can be revealed to you before you go into marriage. And so you're more so complete in that area before you present yourself to your husband. So I think that's one lesson learned. Marriage will show you who you are. It will show you areas that need a little bit of nurturing. So that's definitely something that I've learned.
Shalae is so kind. I love that she said need a little bit of nurturing.
Yes. That's true.
Yes.
But that's really good.
That's a good description. I love it.
What about you, Rolin?
I think lesson learned is I mean, I guess I learned more patience. I think patience is something that I always ask God for, and you know, because in the patience there's wisdom and there's guidance, there's understanding, and you get growth, grow in the patience. So it's like learning it even more, because I think a lot of people think that when you're in a relationship, you got to have it like, you know, popcorn. Our generation is popcorn. We got to have it right now. Like we need it today. Like, you know, it's already a day late, you know? And so for us, I think for me, it was like, okay, can I slow it down? I love Nipsey, like a rapper, Nipsey Hussle, but he always talk about it, the marathon continues, and he always talk about a marathon. It's not a race, it's a marathon. Like, you know, you're going to finish, but you're not about to finish right away. So I think for me, I took the approach in learning, or like you said, lessons learned. For me, it was just like, okay, go back to really slow down the pace. You know, slow down the pace and still move forward. Whether you're moving forward 100 miles per hour or 0.1, I'm just trying to move forward, you know? And I think like with that mindset, things happen fast around you. And you'll get things that you never thought you would get in a million years, but because you took on the mindset of slow down, take it one step at a time, all of a sudden stuff added. Like just out of nowhere, you know, we're doing a marriage, and I mean, we're doing a wedding in the most beautiful venue, and you know, and having the wedding we probably dreamed of. We didn't think it was gonna happen in 2020. You know, like how that's gonna happen. Then even getting home, like, okay, all right, God, it's done. Now we end up getting home, but it was like I took on the approach of I'm just gonna wait. We're gonna take it day by day. I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna figure it out. But I think I'm not gonna rush myself into figuring out anything. I'm gonna take my time by figuring it out. Yeah. I mean, my thing is I don't want to be rushed for anything. You know, I take my time with it. And I think the biggest lesson I learned was just getting more into that, getting more into how more patient can you be? And that's the thing that nobody likes to talk about. Patience is the thing that we skip right over that. We like, forget that patience stuff, bro. I'm not trying to be patient.
Right, listen. It's not just y'all generation. You say y'all popcorn, no, y'all microwave popcorn. We stole the stovetop popcorn. We still like let's hurry it along.
Yeah, come on, bring it on. But patience, and then like, all right, I've been waiting now. Waiting is good, but it's like, but what are you doing while you're waiting? Are you waiting with intent? Are you being patient with intent to do or accomplish a goal? Like I said, it's not about moving 100 miles per hour. If you're moving 0.1 and you're moving, you know what I'm saying? You just got to keep the pace. You know what I'm saying? You just, like I said, if you're in a marathon, you're just keeping up with a few guys. They might have some leaders up there that's shooting out, because that's a big thing, comparison. That's another thing. We look at people in front of the race like, oh, I wish I could run as fast as them. I'm like, oh, I got to, you know, but that's not your race. You know what I'm saying? I think for everybody in all of this, the lesson learned for me is find the race that you're in, find your pace, and move at that. And don't look at everybody else. So don't like we love y'all, but you know what I'm saying? It's be tough for us to be like, we're gonna do it just like Pastor Glenn this time. We're gonna do it just like him. And they're gonna be like, well, you know, all right.
We always say we are not relationship goals. Like people say that, we're not intended to be anyone's goals.
And people love that. They especially online. People that's from the outside looking in, that's the biggest thing. Relationship goals, hashtag, you know, Coach Mark. That's them. They the one. I want to be like y'all. Okay, all right. Be like yourself.
I always say you don't know what happened before and after that photo.
Yeah,
you know
exactly. And that's the other thing I was going to say. People want to, like you said, they want to rush it along. You know, they know what they see posted on Instagram, but you don't know the behind the scenes. You don't know the story that finally got us to that. They didn't know what all you went through last year trying to get to November 22nd, right? You know, so the pictures are glorious and they're beautiful and God was completely glorified, but you don't know the things that happened along the way, the things that you had to endure, and the fact that you overcame them. Just is like, God, you're amazing.
It's amazing.
So it's a great foundation.
Oh my goodness.
What a foundation.
Every random moment I'd be in the house, I'd be like, tell the Lord thank you. We don't even know. And she'd be like, thank you, Lord. Like Shalae be fine, nice on the camera, but she goofy, y'all. This is my
let the goof come through.
She had me laughing.
I'll say, you know, the first venue I've seen it before, so I don't know what you guys had planned, but the wedding that you guys had, I think, and like I said, I don't know, but I think it far surpassed what you had planned. It's way great. So so I just want to thank you guys for coming on and spending this time with us. It won't be the last time either. So, but just in wrapping, I just want people to have an opportunity to connect with you guys. So, kind of tell them if you guys anything that you got going on, social media. Podcast, whatever, just kind of let the people know where they
can. You can follow me at Rollo J on Instagram. I'm on Instagram a lot more than everything else. I'm on Twitter a little bit, just Piper, but you know, more Instagram than Facebook. I'm on Facebook, Rolin Piper. You can find me there. What's Up With The Culture Instagram page is on Instagram as well at What's Up With The Culture. Also, you can find my podcast at What's Up With The Culture on all streaming platforms: Apple, Google, Spotify. And I always say culture, but it's really like an undertone of kingdom culture. I always but I put culture because I want to understand what everybody else thinking.
Gotcha.
Being able to sit down with one thing that I loved about Jesus is he was able to sit down with anybody. And that's what my podcast I wanted to leave open was like, hey, I want to bring back the humanity of Jesus again. Like, can we just sit down and talk? Like, you know what I'm saying? We may not even agree, but it's okay. I just want to sit down and love on you and talk to you. And I think that's what my podcast is more about is just, and then also giving out motivation and inspiration is what I try to strive for people to do what they love to do and go at it, you know, at whatever pace, you know, you want to take it.
My name's Shalae again, but you guys can find me on Instagram at Call Her Joy. Joy is actually my middle name, and it's my family name.
Yeah.
It's the name of my heart, so that's why.
Christmas time is everywhere.
So yeah, if you guys go ahead and get on Instagram, you can look for me there. I'm actually working on starting some photography, so just keep an eye out for that coming up.
Whoop, whoop.
And yeah, as soon as that develops, y'all get a little more of my details.
There you
Awesome.
go. Cool, cool.
Shalae Piper on Facebook.
Yes, on Facebook.
Yeah, I like that. Call her Joy.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, thank you guys for again joining
It's been
us.
our pleasure.
I know this is gonna just be awesome information for everybody watching. For a single, married, wherever stage you are in life, it's gonna be great. So that's all we got for you guys today. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page. Yes. So this is Glenn and Tanya Coleman along with Rolin and Shalae Piper reminding you that your marriage matters. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.